So today's lesson is about a white sauce. So what you can see I've got here is I've got melted butter. So today I want to teach you guys about a roux. So I'm gonna lower the heat there. So I've got my butter. A roux is hot fat, equal parts hot fat and flour. So I've got my fat melted. I'm making a white sauce today, which means I'm using a roux. So a roux is equal parts hot fat and flour mixed together. So I mix these things together until it looks kind of like chunky mashed potatoes. Perfect. Kind of looks chunky and you guys are like, is that right? And I'm like, yeah. Okay. So if you think about a starch granule, so flour in this case, as a tiny little sponge, and these tiny little sponges have to be separated in one of three ways. So the first one is with hot fat, okay, which is what we're doing today, and that's called a roux. The second one is with cold liquids, and we're going to do that on a different day, and it's with cream pies, and then the third way is with sugar and starch. Those are the three ways to separate starch granules before you can thicken a liquid. Now I'm cooking this roux so that we don't have a starchy taste in our white sauce. You continue to keep it moving. You notice that I'm using a whisk, and the whisk is always the tool of choice. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a white sauce. A white sauce can become many things, but basically I'm making macaroni and cheese today. So I've got my pasta boiling for my kids' lunch. You want that al dente, which means firm to the tooth. So I've cooked my roux. Now this is what I call a white roux, which means it's only cooked for about 1 minute. The starch is just cooked off. You can see it's bubbling, kind of looks like mashed potato consistency. And then from here, one of the most important components of getting a nice white sauce is moving it off the heat and then adding in your milk. Now, a white sauce is a roux base with milk as the body of the sauce. So I like to, and the key with this is adding in tiny amounts at a time to get a nice smooth sauce. You're gonna be like, oh my goodness, it's clumping up. It looks even more like mashed potatoes. So what's happening is the starches are gelatinizing. Don't fear, just add a little bit more milk, and slowly it will thin out. But you want to add in a little bit at a time, and that's the key of how you get a nice, smooth, creamy, shiny white sauce. Now, I'm going to make this into macaroni and cheese. So you're like, when does the cheese go in? A cheese goes in always at the end of a sauce. So acids always get added at the end. Okay, so it's going to look pretty liquidy, and you're going to be like, is this right? This is actually still pretty thick in my mind. Okay, so I'm going to add the last bit of my milk here. Sorry about the filming. I'm trying to hold the camera and do the lap. Okay, now you place it back over the heat once your milk is in. So taking off the pan from the heat when you're incorporating the milk little by little is a key in getting a nice smooth white sauce, okay? Okay, a white sauce, also called a bechamel, is one of the 5 mother sauces. So if you're doing the writing project, you're gonna have to figure out who came up with the mother sauces. Some common seasonings. I mean, I like to use garlic powder, salt and pepper, but a very common seasoning is a little bit of nutmeg, actually. Nutmeg, a pinch of nutmeg is always common inside of a white sauce. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for macaroni and cheese, but it's a common seasoning and a classic seasoning of the white sauce. So you can see I'm stirring my pasta. Your pasta, depending on what you're choosing, cooks between, 9 and 11 minutes till al dente, firm to the tooth. Then you strain it and then rinse it with some water. So you wanna, when you're mixing, it's always good to get a figure 8 motion going. Your figure 8 helps you to not miss any parts of the spot. So when you stir like this, you miss the middle part, and then milk will scorch here or burn here to the bottom of the pot. When you do the figure 8, you go around the edges and go through the middle. So you'll see, try to do this motion, and then slowly over time, what will happen is the starches, like little sponges, will absorb the water in the sauce, creating viscosity. Right? So the bigger the roux, the larger the ratio of flour to hot fat, the thicker the sauce will be. So if you increase the roux ratio, the thicker it will be. If you decrease the roux ratio, the thinner it will be. Okay? So stay tuned and we'll show you what the finished sauce should look like and what you should be looking for. The second part of this video is just, that's okay, Pierce. The second part of this video is, we have our nice thick white sauce. You can see that it coats the back of a spoon, or it coats the outside of a whisk. We describe this term as the nappe, how it sticks to a spoon. It's only at the point when a sauce is thick like this, a white sauce is thick, that you're able to add acids. Now cheese would be considered an acid. Other things that might be considered an acid would be like tomatoes, lemon juice if you were doing something with cream. So the sauce needs to be thickened and stable. So you see I've melted it. I'm going to stir it in. After you stir it in, you want to thicken the sauce at the end, taste it, give it a, and then season the sauce at the end, because cheese is very salty. So taste it and then season, because if you over salt the sauce before you put in the cheese, it could be over salted. See how nice and velvety smooth it is? Okay, and then if you ever find that you over thickened it, you can just put in a little bit more milk and that'll help you thin it out. Okay, and then what you do is you take your strained pasta, so I'm going to strain my pasta, and you just dump it in and toss it all together, and voila, you have macaroni and cheese.